Mike, each week, we have a problem around here because each week you and I are interviewing people, and there's a problem. Either A, they're very large or much bigger than us. B, in the case of like Daryl Mack, they're much nicer than us. And C, in the case of our guest tonight, they're much smarter than us too. So we are really at a disadvantage here because people are either bigger, smarter, or nicer than us. This guy may be he actually is all three. I don't want to say maybe. He actually is all three. Played at UCF from 18 to 22. This past year had a unique role, which we'll get into. But we're very happy to have Landon Woodson join us on the show tonight. Landon, first off, thank you so much for taking the time to join us on the show.
Of course. Glad to be here.
Well, I always love to start off the beginning. So tell us a little bit about your recruitment. Obviously, you're a kid out of Virginia. So how do you end up at UCF? Talk me through your recruiting cycle and how the Knights became the place you went to go play for.
Well, it's kind of crazy, if I'm being honest. So basically, I only played football in my senior year of high school, if you can believe that. I had some knee problems in high school also, along with college. So my senior year, I only played receiver, so I didn't really do much DN. And I actually was getting recruited. I was getting heavily recruited, actually. No offers, not a lot of offers, not ones that, compared to UCF. But, I was getting some, small D2 offers, whatever. I would say around mid-football season in my senior year, Coach Burnham, the old head coach, the one who left with Coach Hypo, Coach Burnham, he's the one who started recruiting me from Rutgers. And he told me that I didn't have enough DN film, like defensive film, to get an offer from Rutgers. So I was like, wow, I guess I got to step my game up a little bit. So I started playing a lot more defense as the season went on. And then I remember this day to a T. It was 2017 Christmas Eve. He texted me and he was like, "Hey, Landon, I moved to UCF and we need a guy." I was like, I didn't know what UCF was, if I'm being completely honest. Like, I had no clue what UCF was. So I was like, "Oh, yeah, cool, bet." Like, trying to give him the runaround because, I'm excited because he was recruiting me at Rutgers. So I would say, I did some research on UCF. They were pretty good that year. The Peach Bowl, he texted me and said, "You watching?" I was not watching. My mom was watching downstairs in the living room. So I went down there. I was like, "Yeah, coach, I'm watching. Of course. I'm locked in." So I was watching. I was like, "Oh wow, these guys are, they're pretty good. They just beat Auburn. They're on a come up." And so that's basically it. Did my official visit probably around, I think it was January, like the middle or end of January, and then signed. I think when signing day, like February or something like that. Yeah. I signed then.
That's basically. Did you want to play defense? Did you want to play receiver? How did you decide, or how was it decided that you were going to be a defensive player?
I don't know. I always would rather hit somebody than get hit. That's just, my philosophy. But my dad, he played some football back in the day too. He played outside linebacker, and I kind of wanted to go towards that role, but I was kind of like a bigger, longer, faster guy. So DN really fit me the best. I played receiver a lot. I was pretty fast, could get away from people, was pretty, well, of course, tall. And so I guess I just had like the receiver build, but I don't know, I didn't like it as much as I like defense, if I'm being honest. Because defense is more exciting. Like receiver, if you don't get the ball, then you're just out there, basically. And defense, you're doing something every single play, all types of contact. And that's what I like the most. So that's why I chose really defense.
You didn't see any action that first year in 2018, so you took a red shirt. Was that by plan coming in just to give yourself that extra year to learning the defense and things like that?
Honestly, no, it wasn't. So I came in thinking, like, I want to play. Like, I have a good chance of playing. I have a good chance of, making a name for myself. I would say around. So I came in. I did pretty well. I would say around the like second or third week of fall camp. I like my knee had like just shifted, and I was like, wow, like this might be something. So I kept playing on it because I didn't want to come in and be like that kid who's always hurt, like the kid who comes in, I don't know. If you don't want to be the kid who comes in, gets hurt, and then he's just there on the team, if that makes sense. Like I wanted to play my freshman year. I wanted to make a name for myself. So I didn't play. I went to the doctor and he told me it was torn. So I had surgery at the end of August. Basically just rehab, trying to get ready for that next season.
It was a pretty talented team there. Obviously, you're practicing there with the team to start. Was there a moment there where you're like, "Whoa, this is a lot different than it was back in high school"?
Yes. Wyatt Miller, just put that name out there. Wyatt Miller is a beast. I remember my first time going like full pads. It was like an inside drill. So basically just the running back, the linebackers, and the O-line, D-line. And I was going against him, and he just like, I was trying to do the little high school swag, little woo-de-woo, and he just humbled me very quickly. He humbled me fast. And then that's when I had to realize, like, okay, now I need to get into the weight room. I got to get stronger, faster, like, more agile, just work on my craft, honestly.
How much were you weighing coming in out of high school compared to now?
Coming in, I think I was 210. Yeah, I think like 210. And when I left, I was like 245.
That's a big difference.
So yeah, I put some weight on.
I'm always curious, Landon, what was your approach that offseason? Obviously, a tough year, 2018. You're heading into camp in 2019, spring game. Obviously, you get cleared medically. What was your approach? What were kind of your goals heading into that 2019 season?
To prove something, because, I was pretty, like, I mean, people knew I was coming from Virginia. Like, they were like, oh, like, you got this DN from Virginia. They were like, I try not to get too much into it, but, I was like, okay, like, they expect something from me. So I need to give them a show, of course. But I don't know. I was just really proving to myself that I can play at the next level. Coming from high school, like, just to show that I can play. And I just wanted playing time, honestly. Like, if I had playing time, then I could really show people what I could do. And I think I did pretty well. Yeah, I did pretty well in college. I did a pretty good job of showing people. I think so.
Well, one of the first opportunities you got to prove yourself, and one of the first moments of your career, 2019 against FAU, you got your first career sack. Do you still remember that play? Like, if you close your eyes right now, can you still visualize that play? Can you tell us what happened?
Yeah, I'm closing my eyes and remembering right now, honestly. So I don't know. It was just like surreal, honestly. So hike, boom. That was my third play in. I remember that. It was like my third, fourth play in. First drive, boom, hike the ball, run up the field, got past the D tackle, and the quarterback goes sprinting out to my left. So I guess they're right, but my left, he goes running out. And all I'm thinking is, I got to get him. I'm sprinting my hardest. And I just dive and try to swipe his toes. And he takes a couple more steps and falls. And I'm jumping up happy, just everything.
Did you know it was a sack? Were you sure you got him behind the line? Was there a celebration on your part?
He just fell, and he was the quarterback. That's all I knew. And he had the ball in his hand. So I was happy.
All right, in that 19 season, we lost 3 games, and they were all on the road, right? Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and Tulsa. Was it something about going on the road that year that was a little different with that team, or no?
I mean, it was really, I don't know. Because, I mean, road games are always hard, of course. It's not your crowd, not your fan base. But are you asking, like, from that year and, like, the years after that, are they different? Or
no, just in that season. I mean, because we were beating up on teams that year, too. It's just there's a couple of games. I mean, the Pittsburgh game, and they're all close games and close losses. We just couldn't seem to pull them out at the end.
Yeah, we lost by I think like 7 points altogether.
Yeah.
Something like crazy like that. I don't know. I don't know. You win some, you lose some, I guess. Like, I feel like everybody played their part. We just couldn't win, honestly.
All right. I mean, it was a good year.
Yeah, I wouldn't really blame it on anybody specifically, but we just couldn't make it happen, I guess.
Yeah, it was a good season. A 3-loss season is not bad, but compared to the 2 years before that, where they didn't lose a game, only the one bowl game, what was there something? And then the locker room at the end of the year, was it looked on as a successful year, or was kind of a down year? We didn't make the conference championship game, anything like that?
It was definitely a down year, I would say, because I mean, 2 years. Like, I know some of the players on that team, like, they were like, "Oh, that's the first game I've lost, like, as a college athlete," and they're like 3 years into the year, like 3 years into the college football, and it was definitely like it shocked a lot of people. It shocked a lot of people, like, on the team, like, and I could tell some. I mean, it's bad to say, like, some people just seem like they weren't used to losing, if that makes sense, like, because we were we were going up, like, we weren't losing at all, like, what, 25-0, 26-0, something crazy, and just weren't losing, and then we lost, and it just like, it seemed like we weren't supposed to lose. Like, of course we're not supposed to lose, but people just took it like, I'm like, we're not supposed to lose. So it sucked, honestly. But I mean, I was like a freshman, so I didn't really have any say, honestly. So I was just really there, just watching everybody.
Well, we know 2020, Landon, was a year unlike any, right? You're obviously a kid. You're not from Florida. You're not from Orlando. You're from Virginia. So school gets shut down. Practice gets shut down. Do you stay in Orlando? Did you go back to Virginia? What was that quarantine time like for you?
No, it was good. I stayed in Virginia, or I stayed at Orlando. I didn't really want to go home because I knew I was going to be trapped in the house. I mean, I'm not saying like COVID was a serious thing. I know that for sure, but I knew I was going to be like, trapped in the house. And there's not much to do here here in Fredericksburg. And a lot of people stayed in Orlando on the team. So I just stayed in Orlando. Excuse me. I saw people when I could. It was, kind of sucked, but I could leave when I wanted to or do whatever I wanted, honestly.
We talked to Montalvo last week. He said the hardest part for him was the testing. He hated actually getting the test done. I guess he was a bit of a baby with that thing up his nose, right? What was the hardest part? What was the hardest part of that entire process for you?
The testing. I would say the testing. Like, the masks weren't that big of a deal, honestly. It was the testing. Because, it was it was like 2-3 times a week. We would just both nose. And then if you, God forbid, you get COVID, and you're getting blood drawn, you're getting it. The testing was by far the worst part. 100%.
Yeah, obviously you're a pretty big guy, like Mike mentioned. You were trying to put some weight on, right? Continue to kind of grow. What did you do to stay in shape during that period of time? Were you able to work out? Were you lifting? What was kind of your regimen like?
So I would I didn't really lift as much because I didn't really want to go to like a weight room. Because I don't know, I was big on germs then. I mean, like, cause just like the COVID scene, and like, I just didn't want to like be around like a big group of people like that, or stuff that people have touched too much or whatever. I would try to run, just run around the school campus. I definitely had to watch what I ate because I didn't want to get too little or get too big coming back from COVID, because we were out with like 6 months, maybe like 5-6 months. It was a long time we were gone. And I just didn't want to try to lose like what I had built up coming there.
Well, that year, for the first time since 2016, we actually lost games at home. We lost 2 games at home, but there was 25% crowd, 50% crowd allowed. How different or how weird was it to be playing at home and not have that home crowd the way it normally is?
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, no, it's a big shock, because usually like when you're on the field, you don't really hear the crowd. like you're so dialed into the game. But when there's nobody there, you can definitely tell when there's nobody there. It's a huge difference. Nobody's screaming for you when you run out the tunnel. You just hear little people talking in the background. It's not a good feeling.
There were some places that were almost empty. I think the East Carolina game, there was nobody out there.
Yeah, there was nobody there at the East Carolina game. I do remember that. There was nobody there at all. It was, you can probably hear the coaches on the other sideline, all their calls, the screaming, everything. It's got to be a little weird. Yeah, you can hear everybody. You can hear everything. Like usually, like when you're playing, you can only hear your coach because you know their voice. Like you only hear their coach, your coach. But when there was nobody at the game, like you could hear everything. And it was kind of weird, but it's just the times we were living in.
At the end of the year, you had one of your best games ever. I think 3 sacks against South Florida. What do you remember about that day and those plays?
That's the most memorable game I probably think I've ever had. I actually didn't play the third quarter. I mean, the whole fourth quarter. I had got cut and I had to come out, but that game was probably one of the best games because I remember I told my teammates dropping Cam, I got a good feeling about this game. Like, yeah, we're about to, it's gonna be because it's the bowl, not a bowl game, but it's a rival game. It's the last game of the season. Everything was just built up to that moment. And I remember I got my first 2 sacks, and my coach Burnham, he was like, "You gonna go out there and get another one?" I said, "Of course I am." Went out there, boom, got another one. Got cut a few plays later. It's whatever, but that's probably the most memorable game I've ever had.
That game was closer than it should have been. I think we were way better than them that year, and somehow they just kept hanging in there with us, and it came all the way down to the end.
I just think that's what a rivalry game does to you because, of course, we're way better than USF, and I feel like everybody can attest to that. But I don't know. It's just when you play your rival, they just get that extra boost or whatever and come ready to play.
Well, as if that 2020 year wasn't weird enough, Landon. Obviously, the bowl game against BYU doesn't go our way. Guys get back to campus. You're there a couple of weeks, and then all of a sudden, news starts breaking that maybe Coach Hypo's leaving, and we get the announcement he's going to Tennessee. As a player, how did you find out that Coach Hypo was leaving? How does that news kind of find you, and what was your reaction when you heard that?
So I'm trying to remember exactly how. So I remember we were supposed to have a team meeting that morning, and we were all there. We're there in the team meeting room, and I think one of our coaches just comes in and says, "Go to OD meetings." So Coach Hypo, he didn't come in. They're just like, "Go to OD meetings." So we went to OD meetings, and we were just like what's happening? Like, where's Coach Hypo? Like nobody because we didn't really think about Coach Hypo leaving. Like we didn't that didn't really cross our mind. We were just like what's going on? Why aren't the coaches here? So we go to OD meetings, and then we split up into position meetings. We were talking to one of the GAs, and they were just like, "Yeah, Coach Hypo, he didn't even show up to the meeting this morning." And I was like, "Oh, well, the coaches meeting, not our meeting, the coaches meeting." I was like, "Oh, why?" Because I didn't really know he was in the running for the Tennessee coach or at the time. I was just in the dark. I was just getting everything thrown to me. I was like, "Oh, why?" And they're like, "He's gone." I was like, "Gone? What do you mean gone?" We in I think we were in, I don't what is it, January or something like that. We had just got back. I'm like, "What do you mean gone?" But I have a spring practice in 2 weeks. What do you So I don't know. That's how I found out. And then as soon as I left that campus that day, I just went on Twitter and just looked up, Coach Hypo. And all I see is Tennessee. And then I see him getting off a plane in an orange tie, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that's over."
The orange tie is a dead giveaway. Well, at that point, Randy Shannon, your defensive coordinator, was named interim head coach, and there was a lot of talk, Landon, about who the next coach should be. Obviously, as a defensive guy, I'm sure you were hoping maybe Randy got an opportunity. There was a lot of people who were really rooting for Jeff Lebby, the former offensive coordinator, to get the role. What did you think as a player in the team? How did you kind of manage all that? Were you hoping maybe Randy and that the defensive side got a job? Were you hoping maybe Lebby? Did you care who came in as coach?
I did care, but I just cared what they would bring more than who it actually was. Like, I knew Coach Shannon, he was the players coach, and he was going to bring, team unity. He was going to, bring us together more as a team, because that's what he did to our defense, and that's why we played so well we did. Coach Lebby, he definitely would have brought some spark to the university, because I was just looking for it because what he did with us the first year, and like we were an air raid team, like our offense was crazy. And then I thought, like, okay, so if Lebby's the head coach, who's going to be the defense coordinator? Are they going to keep Coach Shannon? Like I don't know. Like, I was just thinking about who my specific coach was going to be, rather than the head coach, because I wanted to know who's going to be the D-line coach, who's going to be the defense coordinator, like who's going to run us. But yeah, I guess I had opinions, but didn't really care what the players think. It's all about
Did you all get a chance to voice that opinion? I know, obviously, Danny White had already left, so there was no athletic director. Terry Mohadra comes in. I mean, again, there was a lot of stuff on social media land. A lot of people were hashtag Lebby, hashtag hire Lebby. Did you all get a chance? Did anybody consult? Did you get a chance to be a part of a meeting and kind of share your perspectives?
I feel like it was more like in person rather than a meeting, just like locker room talk. Honestly, like, everybody giving their opinion, who they want to be head coach, who they want, who they think will be head coach. And then some players, of course, tweeted out what they wanted, who they wanted. I don't know. Like, I didn't really know what was going on, if that makes sense. Like, because that was like, so like the players who were there the year before I got there, year before Hypo, they kind of knew like how things were going to pan out. Like, they knew like the process of a coach leaving and like everything that goes around that. So that was really like my first time of really, seeing everything. But, and, they had opinions too, but I don't really know, honestly. We definitely had our voice, but I don't really know who we would voice it to, because we didn't have an athletic director at the time, so we couldn't really tell the athletic director who we wanted. And I guess like the university picks the athletic directors. I don't really know how that works.
Yeah.
Do they? Yeah, they do.
Yeah. University president does.
Yeah. So nobody knew him. So I feel like it was just talking to the wind at that point, because we didn't really have anybody we could voice our opinion, but if it wasn't going to the right person, then it wasn't going to really do anything, honestly, in my opinion.
So they hire Malzahn. What did you know about him before he came in, and what were your first impressions of
him? So my first impression of him was, okay, we got an SEC coach. Like, he's about to bring in, some players, not even just players, but just like the SEC mindset. I knew things were going to change, definitely. I don't know. I just knew his track. Like, that's what I looked at. I looked at his track record. He did some things at Auburn, some great things at Auburn, honestly. And, of course, we wanted him to translate to here, to UCF. He came in great attitude. I knew like the first meeting that we had with him, like there was going to be a big, big change in like the way that we thought college football was to how he thinks college football is, if that makes sense.
What were the biggest differences? Was it in the meetings? Was it in the practice field? Was it just his whole philosophy of how to play? What's the biggest difference for you?
The biggest difference for me was just the way things were ran. Like, so Coach Hypo has his way of coaching. Oh, every coach has a way of coaching, but like the outside stuff, like as far as I don't even know, just like the way like meeting times. I mean, that was really, those changed, but I don't really know. It's just like his demeanor was a lot different. Like it was like we knew we were like he had tunnel vision for one thing only, was the conference championship or the New Year's Six Bowl. It was definitely like he got everybody motivated. I'll tell you that. He definitely got everybody motivated, but not a lot of people bought in as quick in our first season, and that kind of showed. Like nobody really, like I think after we lost our first game, it was just like, all right, is everything that you were saying is true? Like, what are we gonna do to change certain things? Like, I don't know. It was just a lot different than what everybody was used to. I'll put it like that. And then like new players coming in. New players coming in, just like players that have been there before, not knowing like I was doing good last season. You bring him in and now I'm not playing at all. Or you bring him in and like I was a 3-4 year starter. You bring him in, he automatically, it's just like, and it's a lot of like, I don't know. It's like I said, it was different though for me because this was the first time I was experiencing it. Like a new coach coming in, bringing like, his staff, his players, his whatever. And I don't know, it was just different, but it was good. It was good while it lasted.
So him bringing in guys like Big Cat, I mean, I know it's affecting you. It's right on your position.
Yeah.
Did you kind of look at it a little sideways? Like, this is supposed to be my position?
No, I'm not that type of guy. I didn't look at it like that. I just looked at it as competition, honestly. They're bringing in an SEC player. They're bringing in somebody they know. They're bringing in Big Cat is an amazing player. He's a great player, and he's doing great right now where he is right now. When they brought him in, I was excited to see like how he played and how he practiced and how like his work ethic. And his work ethic definitely helped me throughout the year because I would come to him, like me being there at UCF for, so many years and him being the new guy. It was kind of like he came in with an attitude of not like, oh yeah, this is my team or this is like so-and-so. He came in with the attitude of like wanting to help players like get to where they know they can be, if that makes sense. Like all the younger players that came in, he came in with open arms. Even players like, me, Drop, Josh Salazar, players that have been there, like know the routine, know everything. Like he came with Coach Malzahn, so he knows how Coach Malzahn coaches and how he runs things. So he kind of gave us like the rundown of how things were going to go and just, fall in line with those.
Landon, you said you could tell that maybe some guys weren't really bought in all the way. You don't have to name names, but can you give me an example of something that you saw where you recognize, hey, someone's not really bought into what we're doing right now?
Play calling, like certain play calls, like the way plays were being called, like they were like, this isn't going to work. Like it's just negative, honestly, like just negativity throughout. And like they say one thing, or like the coaches say one thing and the players will go back and say another thing. And it was just like, it was too much back and forth. But over the year, as it went on, it definitely got like everybody bought in, but it was just at the beginning. But I mean, I understand, like it's a new coach. You don't really know what to expect and you know it one way. And then he comes in and does a totally different way. It happens.
Did you see that more on the offensive side of the ball or the defensive side of the ball? Or both?
No, it was both. It was definitely both because when T. Will came in, T. Will is an amazing coach, and everything that he did, we had to buy in pretty early to know that we were going to be one of the best defenses in the nation. And I think when we bought in, the offense bought in, and that's just when we clicked together to do something great.
Well, if there's anything about that season too, by the way, I mean, there was just a rash of injuries. I mean, it seemed like every game somebody else was going down. Louisville, we lost pretty much the entire team. It felt like at points in time. Do you think though, as you look at that team, like you really all didn't get a chance to really prove yourself because so many guys were in and out of the lineup on the defensive side? I know you guys were missing a bunch of guys for a bunch of games on the defense. Do you think that you never got a chance to get the entire group together as constructed and really see what that team could be?
Yeah, we think about that all the time. Like if we had everybody who got hurt throughout that year, if we really like had them at 100%, because those were some of the key players that we had that year. And if they were there the whole season, then who knows what we would have done, honestly, because those were amazing players. Who I think it was Dylan, Ricky, Bowser.
Yeah. Bowser was out for a while. Jalen Robinson got hurt for a long time. JJB was out for a couple of games, I think. Yeah, Corey Thornton, I think, got hurt for a while.
Yeah, see, like those are key players that everybody knows about, and not even just that everybody knows about them. They're like team leaders and team players. So like when they're not on the field, people have to step up, and I know some people just weren't ready for that yet, and it didn't show. But our play could have definitely been a lot more if those players were there. Because those are some, pretty big keys on our defense and how those ran.
There was a couple games there on defense where it was just bad. We gave up over 50 points to Cincinnati, SMU. How frustrating was that as a defensive guy, just, having another team handed to us like that?
I mean, shoot, it's our fault, right? Getting scored 50 points on, that's not the offense's fault. I don't know. This sucks. I mean, those teams are amazing teams, but they're not as good as, we let them play. And we could definitely do a whole lot better than what we showed, but it's just any given Saturday, and that was their day.
And then another close game with South Florida, the Cows there at the end of the season. You didn't grow up down here. You said you didn't know much about UCF.
Yeah.
So you kind of had to learn about this rivalry as a player here. Did you learn to hate these guys as much as we do? Is there talk going into these games about how big of a game this is?
Every week. We talk about it actually the whole year. Like, I'm not going to let the green team beat us. We don't even say their names. Yeah, it was in that game. That was a close game. And like I said before, like, I think just the rivalry game in general just brings everybody to their best. And USF, they came and brought their best. They shouldn't have. We shouldn't have let it get that close, but, it's whatever. We won.
That season wraps up with a nice win in the Gasparilla Bowl against the Gators. Mm-hmm. I know you said earlier that the game you had against the Cows was probably your favorite game. Was that the biggest win that you were part of at UCF, was beating the Gators in that Gasparilla Bowl?
So the biggest win in my career?
Yeah, in your time at UCF.
I think that was the biggest. Yeah, definitely. That definitely was the biggest one because it just proved so much to so many people that, UCF is nobody to mess around with. We're playing SEC teams, beating SEC teams. Not even just like all the media stuff, just like within the football team. Like, we are better than them. Like, they're not, okay, they're SEC. They, have this, that, and the third, but so do we. And nobody, I think, really sees that because the AAC conference playing an SEC team, people down upon that. But we really, I think, just showed the world, shocked the world, and showed them what we could really do.
What was the vibe like going into that 2022 season? You had a monster spring game. Obviously, we unveiled kind of the new style offense with John Rice Plumlee, and we threw the ball over the place that day. You had a bunch of plays that day. Did it feel different heading into 22? I mean, obviously, you talked about some guys kind of buying in, getting adjusted. In that early part of spring and that early part of that fall camp, did that team feel different to you in 2022?
Yeah, we were completely different than we were in 2021. It was a full 180 on how we approached even just the little things like lifting or the meeting room. Like, everybody brought a notebook. Nobody used to do, like, everybody brought a notebook. Everybody, had pens to give out to people who didn't have, like, it's just like, little things like that made me know, like, okay, yeah, like, we're serious about this season. Like, we're not going to let anything hold us back.
What do you think changed? What do you think changed from 21 to 22 to kind of make that happen?
I just think the team chemistry and really learning like how the coaches were, because the first year coming in, everybody's trying to figure everybody out. The coaches are trying to figure us out. We're trying to figure the coaches out. I think it was just the team chemistry of how, because they came in, like when they came in, it was fast. Like they came in fast, and like the next week we had spring in the 2021 season. So like it wasn't really like, it was like they had to go from, just coming in into coaching. Like we didn't really get to know them. Like we had our introduction meetings and everything, and they were all amazing, but like we didn't really get to know them outside of football. And I think going into that 2022 season, we did a lot of like team activities as far as coaches, players, coaches, position groups, like just the team chemistry and like, coming together as one.
Fall camp doesn't go exactly how you expect. You have an injury. And can you just tell us a little bit exactly what happened to you there?
I mean, just like you said, I guess an injury, my ACL, that's been a problem for me, my whole college career. And it just got to the point to where I couldn't really take it anymore. Like, I mean, I've been doing it for the past 4 or 5 years, and football doesn't last forever, and I just had to stop, I guess, before a lot of other people.
But Gus tells you to stick around. You got a leadership role on the team. What exactly did he ask you to do? What was he trying to get you to do with the other guys?
Basically, just be there for them, a mentor, show the younger kids the ropes. I had a lot of freshmen on my side, like Jamal Johnson, KT Thomas. Those were the 2 new DNs. And really just put them under my wing and show them the ropes of how school worked, how the football worked, help them with plays, because it's just, I don't know. It's just, it was a great role because I was able to, still have my locker, still be able to, travel with the team, basically a GA, basically just there helping the team where I can, when I can. And it was really no different from if I was playing or wasn't playing, Like they never treated me any differently of my position on the team, which was amazing, honestly, because I was blessed to be put in that position because, I don't play. So like, what am I bringing to the team, And they kept me around and treated me like family.
Yeah, you were like a de facto coach. I'd see you at the games in the sideline. You had the orange hat on, the orange jacket. I don't know if you're calling plays in there, but you were like a de facto coach at that point?
Basically. Basically, I was a coach. So
how did that change your relationship with your teammates, right? I mean, obviously you're still their brother, you're still their friend. A lot of those guys you played alongside. Did that change your relationship at all with your teammates now that you're wearing the orange hat, the orange jacket with a headset? Did that change at all for you?
No, it didn't, honestly. Because honestly, like when I first agreed and Coach Malzahn told me about the role I was going to be playing, I was like, like a coach. Like I was just with these guys like last week, lifting with them, like, working out with them, now to be a coach. But it didn't change anything, honestly, because I'm still there. I was still there in the meeting rooms with my position team. I still had my seat. Like I was basically a player until Saturday. Saturday, that's when I really just became a coach. But throughout the whole season, I was a player.
What do you think about the season that we had? Overall, how would you grade it? I mean, we got to a championship game. We kind of sputtered there towards the end. We
made it. That's we didn't finish, but we made it. And that was the first goal of the season, was to make it to the game. It didn't go how we went or how we wanted it to go. I'd give this season B+, B. Because, it's like I said, like it was the first time I felt like we really bought into the program and played as one. It didn't go how we wanted at all, but I saw progression, and that's all that really mattered. So I know this next season coming up, it'll be, tenfold.
There were a couple of games there that cost us from having the championship game at home, which might have made a big difference. The East Carolina game and the Navy game. Which one of those two you want to have back right now?
Navy, always Navy, because I don't know why they always beat us, but Navy. I could care less about ECU, honestly, but Navy, because I think Navy is always going to hurt the most, because Navy is like you're not supposed to lose Navy.
No, not at home.
You're not. No.
Not as a 14-point favorite or whatever we were that day.
Yeah, I mean, ECU, it's football, but Navy, they're not. That's not. All right, I'm not gonna say that's not football, but that's like they run that whatever, and we're not supposed to lose to Navy. I'll just say that. I want that game back. I always want that game back.
Yeah, Montalvo told us last week that he got cut like 6-7 times during the game, and you always got to keep your head in a swivel playing Navy, right? And how much of a challenge that is. Did you experience that in the opportunity you had to play Navy?
Yes, I did, and I wore both my knee braces that game. I made sure to. I wasn't taking any chances with them.
Which opponent was more?
No, go ahead.
Which opponent was more frustrating for you in your career? You lost twice to Tulsa, and you lost twice to Navy. Which one was more frustrating for you?
I don't know. They both suck because we couldn't beat either one of those teams.
Fair.
Honestly, like I don't know what it was, and they weren't good. Like they weren't better than us. It's just like I don't feel like we were intimidated either by them because there was no need to be. Navy, all they had was cutting. Tulsa didn't really have anything that we didn't have, but Navy, they just had that certain wishbone offense, wing T. I don't know. I don't know.
I feel like there's a bad memories. I'll change the subject for you. Although this isn't any better. Transfer portal, obviously a thing now, Landon. We talked about it earlier with some guys coming in. But obviously we had our fair share of guys leave as well. That first year in 21, you saw two big name guys and Dylan Gabriel, Tatum Bethune leave. And this offseason, again, a bunch more guys, take off. Ryan O'Keefe, Jeremiah John Baptiste, Devontae Brown. And then one guy was really surprised. I think somebody was your roommate for a while, Matt Lee, decides to leave as well. What do you make of guys when they decide to leave UCF? Is it something where you're like, hey, you know what, I'm a root from forever? Are you sometimes confused about why they want to leave, or do you just support them because your teammates, your brothers, and that's kind of what you want to do?
Yeah, no, I support them whatever they do. They want to leave, that's their decision. It's a better opportunity, I guess. Whatever they decide is what they decide, and whatever's best for them is what's best for them. Is how I see it. I don't really know too much about what goes into like their decision making, but if they feel it's the best decision for them, then it's the best decision for them.
Is that something where if do guys come up and ask you questions, like young guys, or do people kind of want to ask and talk about like, hey, I'm thinking about this, or even NIL right now, Lane, is another huge thing that people are navigating for the first time. As a leader in the team, how are you all kind of like handling some of those questions and those things that kind of come up for the first time?
I mean, we're just playing it by ear. Just, like you said, it's like coming up new, like everything's new for us as far as, can I, I don't, it's just like, how much money is getting thrown around. It's like you can tell the people that are in it for the money, and you can tell the people that aren't in it for the money. I know, like, you can tell for sure as far as just how things have operated lately. And now that NIL is like such a big thing, I mean, you have to adapt, honestly. That's what it comes down to. You just have to adapt to it and play your cards, and hopefully you strike gold.
Let's talk off the field for a second. I know you were one who's very involved in the community. Mike and I have had a chance to have Anthony Roberson and Jordan Johnson on the show a bunch of times, and obviously they did a lot of great work. And you kind of like took that baton from them, right? They kind of passed that down to you. Tell me a little bit more about why that's important to you, and sort of what made you want to continue to stay involved and be active in the community.
I mean, that's just the type of person I am, honestly. I want to see everybody around me be happy. I remember the first time A-Rob had asked me, it was the Gasparilla Bowl in 2019, I think. Yeah, 2019. When we played who we played? Marshall, yeah, that's who it was. Yeah, we played Marshall in 2019. But we were at the like this like bike building thing. And A-Rob said, "Hey man, I can't make it to the bike thing because he had I think something else." He said, "Can you do this interview for me? Talking about, like the child's da 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 da." Because I had done a role with him earlier in that year, like a Christmas drive. And I was like, "Yeah, for sure." And then when the lady was talking to me, she was just saying how, Landon, A-Rob told me so much about you, about how this, that, and the third. And I was like, yeah. And then that just like really clicked, like, yeah, this is like a great thing that we're doing. And I want to continue it because I knew they were leaving in the following years. So I got in contact with their contacts. When's the next, toy drive? When's the next food drive? When's the, what can I do to help the community? Even though I'm not from here, I treat it as my own because I've lived here. So it's mine now. That's how I saw it. And I just wanted to do the best I could for the people that I knew I could help.
That's awesome, and thanks for doing that for the community. But what's next for you? I know obviously you got a full-time job now. You're kind of in the professional world, so give us an update on kind of where you are now and what's next for you. What your future looks like.
So right now I work in DC. I am a project manager for ground penetrating radar systems. So basically, we're like a pre-op for construction workers. So we'll go in and scan out all the utilities that are underground before they start digging. So yeah, basically we just scan out the whole layout. So we do utilities, so like outside scanning and also indoor construction. So if people are like, trying to build a new wall or trying to dig something into the ground, we'll go out and scan the area for them to make sure that everything's right. And so they don't hit any major pipelines. I love it. Wow. I do love it. It's great. It's a great job.
Mike, I told you he was smarter than you and I. Football in your future? I know you had a little taste of coaching this year. Do you think down the road maybe you want to get back involved with football at some point in time?
Of course, I definitely do. I'm always going to be around it, no matter what I do. It's always going to be a part of me. I do want to come back and be around that scene one day. I just want to see where this life takes me first, like this professional life. Football, I'll always have football, but I just want to see where this road leads me first.
Awesome. Well, you've been really generous with your time. We definitely appreciate it. But before we let you out of here, we got to hit you with some rapid fire questions. These could be about music, movies, sports, some of your teammates. You never know what's going to hit you. So I'm going to start off first with an easy one. Mike and I on the show, since it's kind of the dead period, we've been doing movie reviews. We're talking about some movies. What's one movie that you can turn on right now and you can recite every line in it, word for word? You just know that movie by heart.
Oh, Welcome Home, Roscoe Jenkins.
Okay. Well, didn't have that on my bingo card. Okay.
All right. Chris Rock just came out with this special the other night.
Yes.
One of my favorite comedians of all time. Who is your favorite, or give me a top three?
My favorite comedians, I'd say Kevin Hart, Chris Rock for sure. Eddie Murphy. Yeah, Eddie Murphy.
It's a good trio.
So you've seen all the old Eddie Murphys, Eddie Murphy Raw and all those?
I've seen a good chunk of them, and that's where I got my decision from for my third.
Did you watch the Chris Rock the other night?
No, I didn't actually. I was watching the fight, trying to get into it with that.
There's almost a fight at the Chris Rock thing. Can you solve? I need your help on a controversy. Last week we had Anthony Montalvo on, and he was telling us that I think it was 2018. There was a bunch of guys on the team that were sometimes kind of class clowns or sort of cutting up during meetings and whatnot, but he wouldn't name names, right? So he made me go back to the roster. I found the guys that were there, and then he ended up fessing up on who he was talking about. But obviously your name was on that list. So I said your name, and I said, no, I don't think Landon would be about that. And this was Anthony's response. I want you to hear what he told us.
I mean, you'll be surprised. Landon is full of surprises. Landon is full of surprises.
Okay. All right. You know what? He says, you are full of surprises, Landon. Defend yourself. Explain yourself. What does Anthony Montalvo mean that you're full of surprises? I'm
a jokester. I like to joke around with people, play pranks, throw things at people, just like some like little kid stuff that you see in a classroom in elementary school. Crumble up a piece of paper. Coach turns around. I'm throwing it at the back of your head. Throwing pencils around. It's just, I don't know, just little things. It's in the locker room. I don't know. It's just, I'm just with people every day. I'm with them every day. Fall camp, 24 hours a day, basically. And you got to have some fun somewhere.
All right. So now I need to know, what's the best prank you played on one of your teammates?
The best one.
Did you like tie Montalvo's shoes together or something?
No, I would say probably like hiding people's helmets before practice. That used to always get people, pretty hot.
Who got the maddest at you for hiding their helmet?
I mean, nobody, because nobody knew it was me, I guess, until now.
Now they know. Okay. Oh, so you went stealth mode. You just hit a helmet and was like, hey, where'd your helmet go? Like, you just kind of walked away?
Everybody's, come on, let's go. Practice about to start. I can't. Yeah.
You get guys kicked off the team for that.
Nah, it wasn't that crazy. If it took too long, then I'd be like, I think it's over there. I think I saw somebody. Then we go.
All right. If I gave you 10 days, all inclusive vacation, where in the world would you want to go?
Tulum.
London?
Tulum, Mexico.
Oh, Tulum.
Yes, definitely. I want to go so bad. And I think I'm going to go this year. I'm going to try to go this year.
Right, you said you didn't play football until your senior year in high school. Did you play other sports in high school? So what sports did you play, and what other sports did you excel at?
So I played basketball in high school, but I only played my freshman year. Because the knee problems. So I didn't want to ruin it playing basketball. But before that, I played baseball until I think fifth or sixth grade. Then I started running AAU track. And I ran all the way up through high school. And I actually ran some in high school. Like in the high school track. But those are the only real sports I played. I wasn't really into soccer and nothing like that. Tennis, no. Yeah, those are really basically it. Baseball, track, and football. The basic ones.
All right, you look like you're keeping yourself still in pretty good shape, but you're allowed to have a cheat day every once in a while. So what's your food of choice when you're not trying to be too good?
My food of choice, poutines. It's like French fries with like gravy and cheese curds. I try to eat that probably as much as I can. But now that I'm not worried about my weight in football, if you get me on call with you guys, probably in a couple of weeks, I might get fat.
Yeah, I think poutine has like 3,000 calories in it alone, which is awesome. You changed your number at UCF. You were 93, and then you changed to 13. How did you end up with 93? Was it just kind of luck of the draw freshman? And what made you change to 13?
So 93, I remember it was like, I guess, luck of the draw. It wasn't really lucky because it was an ugly number, but we were doing freshman orientation, like all the freshmen. We were all like, it was like a football thing that we were doing in the student union. And then everybody was like, oh, the numbers just came out. So I'm scrolling through the thing, and I'm still scrolling all the way down to 90s. I said, there's no way I'm number 93. This got to change. But so I changed to 93. And then that next year, or no, 2 years after that, I wanted number 12 because 12 was my lucky number. And it's my lucky number only because L is the 12th letter of the alphabet. So I wanted 12, but I couldn't get 12 because I think E. Mitch still had it at the time, and he wasn't going to give it up. So I couldn't get 12, so I just got 13, and I made it look good. That's all that matters.
All right. If I say you can meet one celebrity in real life, who would you want to meet?
If I could meet one celebrity, I'd probably say The Rock. I don't know why, but he's just everywhere now. Like he's like sponsored like by the Combine with like the No Bull stuff. He's like all over the XFL. He's just on top of the world right now.
Now, you're too young to remember him as a wrestler, right? You know him more just from the movies and all that?
Yeah, but no, the funny thing is Coach Shannon used to coach him back in Miami, and he told us that, and that was pretty cool. Like I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. And he was like telling them how The Rock like talked to him through his transition from football to wrestling. But yeah, no, I didn't know him as a wrestler. I just knew him as a movie star.
Well, you mentioned you're in DC. DC is home of what I think is, I did some research here. I think it has the best XFL team in the country right now, the DC Defenders. Landon, are you watching the XFL? Will you sit down if the XFL is on and you're home, nothing else to do, you flip on the TV, XFL is on. Are you going to stay and watch the whole game?
I mean, I will. It's football, but I just don't understand it really, like the rules. Because like, isn't it like fourth down? You can. I don't know. What's like fourth down?
So instead of an onside kick, you can elect to take one down. It's 4th and 15. You have to convert it. So since nobody ever gets an onside kick, they're trying to give you the opportunity maybe to actually convert that. So you get a 4th and 15 in lieu of an onside kick.
Yeah, I would. That's too much. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay,
that's a lot. But I mean, it's cool. Like, cause I know some of our like I think AK plays for the Arlington team. Yeah. And they were just on last night, so I watched a little bit of that. But I mean, I only watch it if I know somebody on the team. Like other than that, I probably won't watch it.
All right, if you were going to a karaoke party tomorrow night, you have to sing a song. What are you singing?
Perfect by Sheeran.
Can you sing?
Wow.
Do you have a voice?
No, I don't, but the auto-tune and the music in the background will mask it out for me, so it'll be all right.
Ed Sheeran, you didn't listen to Ed Sheeran before a game, right? That wasn't like your pump-up music, right?
I don't know. I listen to a lot of music. If it was a song that I was like, okay, this is a good song, and I like songs that I can listen to that I can sing when I'm like in the game or like when I'm doing something else and I don't have my headphones in, like a tune I can just keep playing in my head. Like that'll focus me up. It's a little thing I have. I don't know.
Fair enough. A last question for you. The hardest question you're going to have to answer this entire interview. A lot of your former teammates started with their own merchandise lines, right? They have their own T-shirts. Somebody famously had some socks on the team, right? So a lot of T-shirts, a lot of gear. Who had the ugliest merchandise on the team? Whose stuff did you look at and be like, man, there's no way I'm ever wearing that?
The socks. I never really understood those. Socks. I didn't like the socks. They were good. It was like one of like the first like little like I think that was the first like merchandise thing I've seen. Like I saw like as it progressed. Like those were like the first. I was like, nobody's really buying socks.
All right. Well, whose socks were better, the Dylan Gabriel socks or the Colton Boomer socks from this past season? Whose socks do you prefer if you had to pick one pair?
I'll wear one of each.
Okay, fair enough. A very diplomatic answer. Colton Boomer said, "Kicking bombs and kissing moms." Though, I mean, that was like his catchphrase, I think, right?
If you knew him, that would be no surprise to you. That was his senior quote.
We've had him on the show. It's actually not surprising at all.
You would not be surprised.
Who was the funnest guy on the team last year? Who was the one guy that no matter who you were around, just kind of cracked you up, made you laugh, made you smile?
I would say Cheetos, Keenan, Malachi, Matt, and Adrian.
So you called somebody Cheetos. Who is Cheetos?
Cheetos Magiro, number 66. Okay. He plays offensive guard. I was picturing you named somebody like after the snack food, so I had to check in and make sure there was nobody named Cheetos on the team, because that would be a story that we would have to figure out. Landon, thanks, man, for taking the time, and know it's been a long time for you talking for us tonight, man. Appreciate you taking the time, man. Best of luck to you in your career. Hopefully we'll get a chance to see you. Do you have any plans to get back to Orlando this season? Maybe catch a game? Yeah, no, I want to come. We're in the Big 12 now, so that's a big step up. I don't know if I looked at the schedule, but no, West Virginia, because I was going to try to go to the West Virginia game if it was away, because it's not too far from me. Yeah. But no, I want to come to the homecoming, and I want to try to make it to the pro day, but I don't know if that'll work. But I definitely want to come to homecoming, or like some home game.
Well, hopefully we get a chance to catch you soon at the Bounce Ass. Again, thanks for everything you do for UCF. Thanks for being such a great rep for the team and the community. We wish you the best luck. Hopefully we'll catch up to you soon, okay?
Thank you, definitely.
All right, take care. Charge on.
All right, charge on.